You are listening to the No Plays Off podcast, the show that highlights the student athletes of our future. I'm your host, Coach Quayle, and I'm here to share exciting entertainment with you. So please sit back and enjoy the show. Yo, what is going on? This is your main man, Quayle, and I am excited, like truly excited, because this podcast right here is something that I have envisioned, and to watch it come into fruition, it's amazing. Like it's like having a baby, right? A newborn baby. Like you planning on that baby, and it takes 9 months for the baby to fully develop and then come into the world. And this is how I feel about the No Plays Off podcast. So I'm excited because there's a lot of things that I want to share with you guys as far as like just the education behind amateur basketball, or the entertainment behind amateur basketball, and these young players and what they're becoming, what they're going to grow into, and what their future holds, right? And just the overall understanding of who No Plays Off is. So we want to go ahead and welcome you guys. Take a seat, man, and we're going to go ahead and get right into it. So No Plays Off, or NPO for short, right? I like to call it NPO because it's easier to say, but No Plays Off started with myself and a few friends, and we just wanted to give back to the community and be mentors to kids that, we want to be those mentors that we didn't have growing up, right? Because the biggest consensus was that if we would have had somebody help us make the decisions in amateur sports, based on, what us trying to go to college or becoming a professional athlete, things could have been a whole lot different. Things could have been a lot easier, I will say, right? Things could have been a lot easier because that's just the way it is. When you have someone helping you doing whatever in life, then it helps you out tremendously, right? So we was like, all right, we want this to be something that isn't that isn't here today and gone tomorrow, right? We wanted to have longevity behind it. So it took a lot of due diligence and planning and just a lot of research. So we decided to start up a nonprofit organization, right? A 501c3. And No Plays Off is a stem of Student Athletes of the Future Incorporated. And when it came down to developing the brand behind our nonprofit, we wanted to create a basketball organization. So basically an AAU team, right? But we didn't want to just be a team. We wanted to be an organization that stood for something. So we played around with names and try to figure out our identity as far as the name goes and the brand. And we came up with a list of names, and there were some names that involved mascots. Like you have the Charlotte Hornets or the Brooklyn Nets, or things of that nature, the New Orleans Pelicans, Los Angeles Lakers. And we came up with some pretty good names, but we didn't want to be an animal, right? We didn't want to be a mascot, because we wanted to let the public know what we stood for straight up. Like we wouldn't have to explain anything. This is our brand, and this is what it is. This is what we stand for. So No Plays Off really stood out. NPO, No Plays Off, because on the court we took no plays off, right? You don't want to take any play off, because at the end of the day, at the end of the game, whether you win or lose, you want to know that you gave it your all, right? You want to be able to tell yourself, look yourself in the mirror and be like, yeah, I gave it my all. Win or lose, I gave it my all, and I did my best, right? I tried everything. I dived on the ball that one extra time, right? I boxed out. I did what it took. You know what I'm saying? I stood up and cheered my teammates on, right? I didn't take no plays off. If you're able to do it, then you should do it, right? So that's our brand, No Plays Off. That's what we stand for on the court and off the court. So that's how we came up with No Plays Off. And the idea of putting out a 501c3 nonprofit organization, it was all about longevity. Because like I said, we didn't want to be here today and gone tomorrow. This is something that we wanted to build up and be able to pass down generations, right? this is something bigger than ourselves. We didn't want to just let this thing wither down. If one of us were to step away from or get sick or whatever, whatever the life entails, we wanted this to be something that stood as long as possible. So we wanted to have longevity behind it. So that's why we did it. Um, that's why we started up our nonprofit and we branded it No Plays Off, because that's what we stand for. So the podcast is just a medium, right? The podcast, let me rewind real quick. No Plays Off, NPO Elite is the name of the basketball organization that we started at as a branch from Student Athletes of the Future Incorporated, right? So No Plays Off podcast is just a platform. It's a medium to allow us to give our players exposure, because that's big for amateur players. They want to be seen, especially with it's 2020 now, right? If you're not on the internet, if you're not easily accessible to the public, then you're doing something wrong. So if you're an amateur basketball player and somebody can just Google your name, or somebody can look you up and you're found easily, that allows people that allows a light to be shined on you and people to find you and look at your game, right? And that allows them to become, if they like your game, then they're attracted to you. That allows you to get on their radar, and then they can dig deeper into details. So that's what this podcast is for. It's just another platform to allow us to help our players out and be able to showcase what they're about, what they stand for, because this is something that, like I said, this is way bigger than us, way bigger than us. This is all about the next generation. Each one teach one, and I promise you, we'll grow. We'll grow very big, and the world will continue moving in the right direction, right? And it's another way. It's also another way for us to our staff and the organization to just showcase our expertise on amateur basketball, and just to show you guys, like, yeah, there's there's a lot of people that talk it, right? But there's not a lot of people that walk it. They don't show that this is what they're really about. So you can hear the fluff. You can hear the fluff behind some people's words, and if you can read between the lines, you'll find out that a lot of people don't really know what's going on. They don't know what they're talking about. They just know the basics. They don't know the details. They don't know the step by steps and how to teach it, how to get someone else to that next level. And that's not just with basketball, that's with life, period. And we want everyone that gets involved with us to be able to comfortably say, like, oh yes, I have confidence in No Plays Off. I have confidence in Student Athletes of the Future, and knowing we're very transparent with what we do and how we operate and what we have going on. So that's just the biggest thing, man. And this is the first episode. That's No Plays Off. Like, this is what we are, and this is what we stand for. Like, as time goes on and the future episodes pop up, you'll see that the bread is in the butter, or the butter is in the bread, or the proof is in the pudding, or however you say it, you know what I'm saying? So you'll see, and you'll also be able to get to hear new ideas and what we have going on for the players and the families and whatnot. So we're gonna go ahead and take a short break, and then I'm gonna give you guys some details on what the team actually consists of. So we'll be right back. Hey, yo, what's up? You like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show. And we are back, man. All right, so we're gonna get right into it because I don't want to waste no time. So, No Plays Off Elite, the basketball team, is something that we really wanted to do because there's a big gap. There's a huge gap in competitive basketball. So if you're playing for a great team that plays a competitive summer schedule, the entry fee to play for them is high. Like I'm talking around 2 grand just for to get on the team. And then on top of that, you have to pay for your travel costs and your food while you're there. So that's big. And then for the more affordable programs, you're you're not playing in the competition that'll get you recognized by schools that you want to go to. So there's a gap. So what we want to provide at No Plays Off is we want to bridge that gap and allow players to play a extremely competitive schedule at the lowest price point possible, which is why we accept sponsorships and donations. And that was the biggest reason why we wanted to become a nonprofit organization, because growing up, there were times that my family, my dad couldn't, or my mom couldn't handle the team fees. And it was like, dang, you know what I'm saying? It discouraged me as a player, because as a son, I didn't want to put that financial burden on my parents. And I started off in Florida with my mom, then I moved up to Charlotte to live with my dad. And each time in each scenario, the situation was the same, that it was just hard to afford competitive summer basketball. But they still made it work, but it was just, I know it was a burden on the finances. So even on top of that, on teams that I did play for, when we went out on tournaments and we had to pay for our food and we're at McDonald's or Subway or wherever we're eating at, it was a lot of times where I didn't have no money to eat food. So I'm sitting there on a tournament the whole weekend, going to starve until eventually maybe a coach looked at me like, yo, why you not eating? And I'm like, I don't have no money, coach. And then they'll pay for me. So it's like, I just never wanted to be a burden. So that is why No Plays Off became a nonprofit organization. So that way we can accept donations and sponsorships, so that we can have fair chances for any individual. Because you can have a great kid who's a phenomenal player and has a extreme work ethic and just a loving character, but maybe his family just can't afford that opportunity, right? And then you can have the next man who is nowhere near half the human being, but their family can afford the opportunity to play for a high end organization. And it's like, that's unfair. So here at No Plays Off, what we want to do is we want to allow kids the same opportunity, allow families the same opportunity, regardless of the financial situation. So that's why our sponsorships and our donations are huge. They're very huge, right? And it's like, okay, that's one thing, right? And it's not the sponsorship and the donations, they supply much more than the food. Like that's a big thing, but they supply everything. They supply the players' uniforms and shoes, the team tournaments, the practice time, because you got to pay for gym time in order to practice. They pay for the travel and lodging, and the team meals at the tournament. So they take care of the players just all around, not just in one aspect, not just getting their jerseys or whatever, but all around they take care of the player and the family. So that's why we are real big on our sponsorships, and we're transparent with what we do with the money as well, because there are a lot of programs, and I'm not going to name any of them, but there are a lot of programs where coaches and directors will be pocketing the money. And it's like, you have some coaches on payroll, but players and families still have to pay. I don't we don't sit well with that here at NPO Elite. Like that doesn't sit well with us. Before any of our coaches, or we have a paid staff, before that happens, all of our players and families will be provided for 100%, as far as the organization goes, as far as being able to fund their for their uniforms and the tournaments and the practices and the travel and lodging and the team meals. We're not going to pocket any of that money. That doesn't sit well with us. We want to put the players first and make sure they're taken care of and with their necessities when it comes down to our tournaments and our games and whatnot. So that's what the sponsorships and the donations go towards. Another thing that we do that's different from other programs is we offer player and team highlights as well as game film, practice highlights, and also team vlogs. Because, like I said earlier, it's about being uh, easily accessible in today's age. Like I said, it's 2020, so you have to be seen nowadays. It's not about just about being heard of. You have to be seen. You have to be on the internet. So we're giving the players a platform to be seen very easy because our games are going to be live streamed on different platforms on our Facebook page, and we'll be looking into other broadcasting platforms so that way anytime parents can't make it to a game or a tournament, they're still able to see the game. They're still able to see their child play, and family members who are across the country or wherever across the world, like wherever, if anybody can make the game, they can always just say, "Hey, check us out here." The game will be broadcasted live, and you can see their players play, and that's big. Like even if it's like family or other their high school coaches or whoever, friends, college coaches, whoever can watch the game live. Like it's nothing like seeing yourself play on that stage and it's like, wow, I can go back and watch my game and these people looked at me. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know who's watching, but being able to have someone support you in that manner, it will mean a lot to you while you're performing. So that's another thing that we do, right? Other programs, they don't really offer in-house film. Maybe a baller's life or home team hoops or elite mixtapes will come in and film the best players in the nation or the best player on that team. But then again, those are paid services where you have to pay those programs or whatever, and they'll come in and do the film or whatever. But for us, it's done in house, and it's not just for our best players; it's for every single player, and it's no additional charge. That's all done in the house, and our staff takes care of that. And like I said, that's just it's all about being able to be found nowadays and be seen for these amateur athletes. Just we're we can't do what we do without them. So put them we have to hold them to our highest regards, right? We have to put them on a pedestal and show them like, look, your dream is to do this when you get older. So we're going to do everything we can in our power to help you get there. And that's just a part of it. So what else? We're also going to give players scouting profiles so that they can be recognized. So not only will they have film and things that you could be seeing, but it's also going to be scouting profiles on the internet. So anytime anybody wants to look them up, they see, what that player offers and their height and their weight and their school and their GPA and things like that. And basically just the whole personal profile on the player. So that way you can get to know them a little bit better on a personal level. And again, we're also going to be highlighting their gameplay here on the podcast. So when we have tournaments, you'll be able to hear what happened in those tournaments with our players and highlighting players of the tournament of the week or whatever, and just giving the players a platform to really showcase their themselves. And then I just want to sum it all up with the program. Like we have three promises, and this is just how we sum it up outside of our mission statement, right? So our first promise is we promise to provide players and their families the lowest price opportunity possible to be able to compete at the highest levels of summer basketball. Our second promise is we promise to expose players to multiple colleges and universities. Okay, hold on. Guys, this is my son coming in. What's up, big boy? Okay, I'm gonna take you a bath right after this, all right? All right, give me a second, okay? That's okay. I love you. All right, come sit in my lap.
What?
Come sit in my lap.
Why?
You want to leave? You want to go out? You want to go out the room?
What?
You want to go out the room?
No.
Okay, you sit right here. Sit in my lap. Yeah, be quiet though, okay?
Why?
Because I gotta finish this show. All right. So our second promise is we promise to expose players to multiple colleges and universities and put them in a position to showcase their skills and character in front of recruiting scouts. And then lastly, our third promise is we promise to never
And
place the
my turn.
Wait a second. And lastly, our third promise is we promise to never place the value of winning above the value of instilling the highest desirable ideals of character. So again, we're not going to push you have to win, you have to win. It's all going to be out who displays the highest ideals of character. You know, we're not on destroying people and eating people alive and whatnot. We're all about helping the next man, regardless of you have the other jersey on the court or whatever. It's all about helping each other, and the biggest thing is love, and that's in life. That's not just like that's not basketball. That's life. So that's what we stand for here at No Plays Off. So tune in to the next episode. We about to go ahead and wrap it up right here. I don't know if my son wants to say anything, but Malachi, you want to say bye bye?
Bye bye.
That's my son right there. Here you heard it, man. Check us out. Tune in next time here at No Plays Off. Thanks for joining us on this episode of No Plays Off. Make sure to visit our website at npoelitehoops.org, where you can get more details on the program, such as rosters, upcoming schedules, and shop our team apparel. We also accept donations and sponsorships, which fund our players in ways such as uniforms, team tournaments, practice time, team meals, and much more. You can also find us on social media at NPO Elite Hoops on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, please subscribe and we appreciate a rating. Or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that will help us out too. Be sure to tune in for our next episode. This is Coach Quill and I'm signing out. Stay blessed.